Hey everybody, Mr. The Fanboy here, back for another review, and this time this is my review of TNA. This is my late review of TNA Bound for Glory 2015. I wanted to catch this show, but every year I usually choose one of the TNA shows, and this year I chose Slamversary 2015, and I decided to use my money to go to anime comic book convention here in Georgia, Anime Weekend Atlanta. So I didn't get to see Bound for Glory 2015, but I was mad that I missed it because after seeing several reviews and seeing those awesome highlights, I had to get this show. And if I couldn't find a version uploaded here or another version on a streaming website somewhere, I was gonna go to TNA Wrestling.com and order the DVD I managed someone was nice enough to upload it here, and I got to watch it, and this show was awesome. This show was the show Slamversary 2015, which was awesome, should have been. Slamversary 2015 was awesome, but I hated they chose to be inside. I hated they chose to be inside the Impact Zone instead of Dallas. This right here was in North Carolina, the Hardy Boys Charlotte, North Carolina, the Hardy Boys hometown. The Hardy Boys hometown and big budget arena, and really looked like a epic wrestling show. Awesome set design and lots of people there. Way better than what you see on it. Way better than what you see on Impact. What you see, the crowds you see on Impact. Almost made TNA here look like a major promotion. But like I said, this show was awesome. But let's get to the wrestling. None of the matches, with the exception of about, what was it, 3 matches, had any hold on. Yeah, 3 matches. 3 matches had any real build for them. But just about every match on the card was awesome. But the only two problems already, before I get to the only two problems I had with this pay-per-view already, was that Rockstar Spud and Mandrews, were nowhere. Rockstar Spud, Mandrews, and Crazy Steve were nowhere to be seen. Were nowhere to be seen on this pay-per-view. You have Rockstar Spud, who's been a big part of your company and a big part of Impact, was nowhere to be seen on either of the biggest shows of the year. You got Mandrews, who is part of your biggest demographic ever. People in Europe, your biggest demographic ever. He wasn't on the show. And Crazy Steve, who was just awesome. Wasn't there. But Crazy Steve will be showcasing this World Championship Series, and Rockstar Spud is. But Mandrews has yet to make his return to television. With that being said, the Ultimate X match between T.J. Perkins, the four-way X Division match between T.J. Perkins, DJZ, and the debuting Andrew Everett and the defending champion Tigre Uno. Tigre Uno was awesome. This was an awesome Ultimate X match to start the show. Just a bunch of spots. Awesome match, but nothing really wowed me. It was awesome match though, but nothing really wowed me in this match. But this was definitely an awesome match to start the show. Tigre Uno won. I wanted Manic to win. That's probably why, despite how entertaining I was by this match, I really don't care much for it because I wanted Manic to win. But Tigre Uno retained his title in an awesome Ultimate X match. The next match of the night was the second match I was looking forward to when I read the results on Wikipedia, and that was the 12-man Bound for Glory Gauntlet Battle Royal match between Tyrus, Abyss, the returning Bradley as Aiden O'Shea, Al Snow, Chris Melendez, DJ D'Angelo De Niro, Eli Drake, Jesse Goddard, Mahabali Shira, Mr. Anderson, Robbie E, and Tommy Dreamer. This right here was an awesome battle royal. I love the inclusion of Al Snow. And love the return and inclusion of Tommy Dreamer too. The only thing I don't like was that I didn't like Tyrus winning, but I didn't like Tyrus winning. I wanted one of the other wrestlers, any one of the other wrestlers to win. Yes, even Dreamer, Al Snow, and even Mahabali Shira, who probably isn't ready yet for a title shot. But it did. But there were two funny moments with Mahabali Shira doing the dance. Doing the dance, and Aiden O'Shea getting everybody to do the dance, and Aiden O'Shea interrupted and did it, and then punched the other guys and turned it into a brawl. And then Mahabali Shira tried to do it to Tyrus, and Tyrus threw him out the ring. I also enjoyed the D'Angelo De Niro spot where he was about to get into the match, and he saw Abyss and Tyrus and decided to turn back around and go back to announcing. Like I said, awesome. This was an awesome battle royal. Next match was the Wolves versus Brian Majors and Trevor Lee. I really didn't care much for this match, but this was probably, as you always with the Wolves, the best technical wrestling matches are always involving the Wolves, Aries, and Bobby Lashley, which I'm about to get to in a minute. But awesome match. But like I said, I didn't care much for it because I saw it on Impact, but this was built up. Still had a request for a title shot. Brian Majors and Trevor Lee still had a request for a title shot, and they beat them on what's his name. So this was an awesome match right here. Next match was the next match I was looking forward to on this pay-per-view. Bobby Lashley and Bobby Roode for the TNA King of the Mountain Championship. Awesome, stiff, technical big man match. Disappointed Bobby Lashley couldn't pick up the win. But Roode won with the Roode bomb, and like I said, awesome match. Bobby Lashley looked totally disappointed at the end of the match. I wonder if this will lead to a heel turn for Lashley. Next match was Gail Kim versus Awesome Kong for the TNA Knockouts Championship. This was an awesome match. Not as awesome as the matches they had back in the 2000s. But this was an awesome match. I love the way it ended with the Eat the Feet finisher. I think that's what it's called, her Eat the Feet finisher. Then the roll up after it for the 1, 2, 3. Then the next match of the night was Kurt Angle versus Eric Young. Didn't care much for this match either, but once again, this match was awesome. Love the promo between Eric Young and Kurt Angle at the beginning of the match, where Kurt Angle made it a no disqualification match. Even though I could have sworn Dixie Carter made it a no DQ match on Impact. But anyway, it was an awesome match. Awesome story told here with Eric Young nearly trying to re-injure Kurt Angle's neck, and briefly doing that, and attacking everyone when Kurt Angle tried to leave. Then I love there was one guy with a Captain America shield wanting someone to get slammed into it, and even was wanting Kurt Angle to suplex Eric Young into it, but instead Kurt Angle suplexed Eric Young on the soft mat piece right there, then threw him in the ring. The fight continued, and Kurt Angle locked in the ankle lock, and Eric Young, even though he got to the ropes, since it was no DQ, the referee didn't have to break the hold, and Eric Young had no choice but to tap out in like an awesome no DQ match. Main event time. Even though this was even though this was the match I was looking forward to the most on the pay per view, myself and the crowd were tired by the time we got to this match, and that was Matt Hardy versus EC3 and Drew Galloway for the TNA Heavyweight Championship with Jeff Hardy as the special guest referee. This right here, once again, this right here was another awesome match. Matt Hardy and Matt Hardy Matt Hardy and Drew Galloway. EC3 controlled most of the second part of the match. Part of the match, Matt Hardy and Galloway, as I predicted in the beginning, double team EC3. EC3 pretty much the whole match kept trying to get himself DQ'd, kept trying to get himself disqualified, and finally did, and kept trying to get himself disqualified, but Jeff Hardy refused to DQ him. Jeff Hardy DQ him, and when EC3's physically provoked Hardy, Hardy hit him in the gut with a chair, then hit him in the gut with a chair, then gave him another chair shot, then EC3 turned around into a boot by Drew Galloway, and Drew Galloway turned around into a twist of fate by Matt Hardy. So Matt Hardy picked Galloway to become the TNA Heavyweight Champion. Like I said, good job, TNA. This right here was an awesome pay-per-view. My only disappointment was that Rockstar Spud, Mandrews, and Crazy Steve were nowhere to be seen on this pay-per-view, and also another thing I forgot, in the dark match, indie wrestler Sean Schultz, who wrestles in Tennessee for NWA Showtime All-Star Wrestling in Tennessee, in Memphis, Tennessee, and John Schuyler, who most recently wrestled here in Georgia for Anarchy Wrestling, wrestled in a dark match. So I wonder if they're coming to TNA. That would be awesome if they are. Well, anyway, like I said, awesome show from TNA, man. TNA, they've just been on fire, and I hope they can keep up this momentum. All right, Doug out.